Okay, so I'm recording this 12 hours after the show is done. So y'all have probably already seen all of the reviews for this. But hey ho, what's one more uh while we're at it? Just keep piling them on. So yeah, we're going to talk about this show because well, it's my job to talk about this show. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Daniel Strong from QuickTime Reactions, and yes, WWE had a PLE today, and it was Crown Jewel in Perth, Australia. Um, this is, of course, the second show that they have done on ESPN, but you might be asking yourselves, Daniel, why are you recording this 12 hours after you are you presumably watched the show live? And yes, I try to typically watch the wrestling shows that I cover live. However, since it's one in Australia and two, which then leads into it being at 8 a.m. in the morning, um, there are no places that are open at 8 a.m. for me to have watched the show. Fortunately enough for me, I did go see this at a movie theater that was showing it. But that showing was at 2 p.m. So, and then I had a family thing that I had to go to, and then I had to, eat and all that stuff. So, hence why I'm recording it 12 hours after the show. But, my general thoughts on the show. I really enjoyed this show. It was definitely a step up over WrestlePalooza, and it was just a fun show overall. The Perth crowd was really, really good. And in fact, I really liked the opening hype package. The Can You Hear It? I don't want to call it text, but like the preamble, shall we say, narrated by Aussie Rhearipley. I thought that was a really cool touch. We open up with Bronsonreed versus Roman Reigns in an Aussie street fight. This was just really fun. Of course, fans are firmly behind Roman, and funny enough, they're not fully, hating Braun Breaker, but there is hate towards him. Of course, there are the Aussie weapons. You have the cricket bat. You have the rugby. Excuse me. The rugby balls. You have the Aussie kendo stick, the Aussie chair, the Aussie table, sponsored by Slim Jims. All the Australian weapons in the world. Some notable stuff in this matchup was Roman being able to pick up Reed for a Samoan drop onto the chair. That looked brutal. And just, the crowd being so behind Roman. And I do like this one moment where Roman's on top. This is early on in the match. He grabs the mic and he's like, Perth, if you want tables, acknowledge me. And I think that was like the perfect way to, shut up the we want tables chant, because I assumed that was going to happen at some point in the match. Thankfully, they avoided that, though. We get into the finishing sequence of this match. Roman goes for a spear through the barricade, but Breaker intercepts and spears Roman. It's now 2-on-1. They're beating up Roman, even hitting the Shield powerbomb through the announce table. But out come the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, to make the save. They're taking care of Reed and Breaker. But as Roman looks like he's going to spear Reed through the table he set up in the ring, Reed picks up Roman. It looks like he's going to hit a jagged edge through that table. Roman gets out of it. Jay looks like he's going to spear Reed through that table, but Reed moves. Jay spears Roman through the table, and that's a big malfunction at the junction. Breaker hits a spear on Jay, and Reed hits a tsunami on Reigns to pin him for the first time in a singles match since, I think, Cody beat him for the championship at Mania 40. which is insane. That is like big ups for Reed in that instance. And that's going to be big for him. No, pardon the pun, but yeah, that win is going to be a massive, hopefully a rocket for him as he progresses through the card. Post match, we have all the bloodline drama. Roman is like, see, this works only if we win, and people are going to think that I can't do this on my own, and he ends it with this line, I love you guys, but I don't want to see you until Christmas. And he's basically done with Jimmy and Jay is done with, teaming up with his brother. And so the OG bloodline is very much fractured at this point. So we'll see what it's like heading into War Games here in a few weeks' time. It'll be very interesting to see how that kind of lines up. We then go into the women's crown jewel matchup. Stephanievaquer versus Tiffany Stratton. There's a decent little match between the both of them in this. Both seemingly evenly matched at this point. Like Tiffany hadn't lost a match, and Stephanie has just had the rocket, attached to her. In like 1 year, she was, champ, double champ, then got called up, and then, again, that rocket continued to propel her, won the Battle Royal, then won the Women's World title. A lot of stuff happening to Vaquer in that instance. So it was like, again, coin flip odds, like I said in my predictions. Some really good stuff in this. I have to point this out. Every single time that Stephanie hits a dragon screw in this in a match, it always looks like it hurts, but like in a good way. Like her dragon screw looks really, really good. Towards the tail end of the match, Tiffany tries to go for the prettiest moonsault ever, but she misses. And then Stephanie heads up to the top rope, hits her twisting moonsault. I don't know. I don't think it's a sky twister, but I don't think it's a spiral tap either. So I don't know what to call it. I'm just going to call it a twisting press. And gets 3 count. Stephanievaquer wins the Crown Jewel Championship, aka the gaudiest belt in professional wrestling. Although I do like the big rectangle main plate. It looks very old school in that instance. And afterwards, Stephanie cuts a post-match promo, which I thought was really, really good. Also, I should say, in my predictions, I only got 1 match wrong, which was the opening match. Everything else on the show I got correct. Next up, Cena versus AJ Styles. This match was absolutely incredible. Just absolutely incredible and fun. Styles coming out like it was early 2000s TNA with like the shorts and no gloves, which I thought was very interesting. Cena, of course, gets his typical introduction, and Styles gets his own introduction, which I think he didn't know was going to happen because he didn't. I don't think he knew this was going to happen. And I also love the fact that, when Alicia Taylor says like he's the definitive leader of the Bullet Club, AJ looked at the crowd and just went, "Oh shit!" like they actually said that. This is kind of the typical formula that these two have had, where it's like you start out slow, but then it's like big move, kick out, big move, kick out, big move, kick out. But they were doing everybody else's moves. There was a skull-crushing finale, Miz, Accolade, Rusev, choke slam, Kane, Undertaker, Big Show, whatever you want to determine that to be. what I thought was lovely was that, oh, and also Randy Orton with the draping DDT and the RKO. The one that I thought was awesome was the Sister Abigail that Cena did to AJ, which looked really good. And then when you cut back from the replay, everyone has the fireflies out, which I thought was really, really nice. But AJ, of course, doing all sorts of stuff from like his past as well. Did Scorpion Death Drop for Sting, Coquina Clutch for Samoa Joe. Even busted out the Springboard 450, which is like a throwback to him. Many people are saying that the Deadeye that AJ did was a shout out to Hangman Page, when I think people are forgetting that Kazarian also does that move as well. So I think it's probably more so a shout out to Kazarian than Hangman Adam Page. That could just be my read of it. But he also does Angel's Wings, Christopher Daniels as well. So just hitting everybody else's moves. But the finish comes when it looks like Cena's going to go for an AA, but he instead reverses it into a tombstone, and then picks AJ up for one more AA to get the win. He being John Cena, now being at 100 pay-per-view wins, and he's got only 4 matches left. Who will Cena's last couple of opponents be? Well, if you want my take as to who Cena's opponents should be, go check out my How WWE Should Book Cena's Final Matches for his retirement tour. That video is already up on my channel if you want to hear my thoughts as to who Cena should go up against in his last couple of matches. We then move on to the women's tag between Rhea Ripley and Iyosky versus the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and kairisane. Excuse me. This match I thought was pretty good. Just like typical old school tag stuff. Io starting out hot, and then of course getting worked down until, of course, the Aussie native Rhea Ripley comes in with the hot tag, runs wild. She gets cut off, then Io comes in, gets the hot tag, goes crazy. Finish comes around when Rhea comes in and hits the Riptide on, I believe it is Kairi, but Io is the legal participant in the matchup. She hits the over the moonsault and picks up the win for the team. I sincerely would have thought that Rhea would have gotten the pin because, hometown girl. Why not she get the pin? But I also thought that was a really cool thing for Io to get the pin in that instance. And that, of course, brings us to our main event, which is Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins for the men's Crown Jewel Championship. This one told a very interesting story that, Seth, he's put it on himself. If he doesn't win this match, he cannot call himself the future of this company. And of course, if he's not the future of this company, then his whole faction is just going to dissipate in front of his very eyes. Cody is just a bit quicker and a bit smarter in the start, and the crowd even rattles Seth. The chant, Seth is a wanker, starts, and it rattles Seth. And once commentary picks that up, Seth is rattled by even commentary, because he even yells at Michael Cole. He tries to be cocky, does the Stardust taunt thing. That doesn't work for him. So he just goes and, becomes, just wrestles his heart out. And it's still not enough to put Cody away. I should also mention, when Cody went for a top rope Cody cutter, he just sprang off the top rope, didn't get any of it, and just took a back bump, like a trust fall in the center of that ring. That looked to have hurt so bad. I also have to mention the crazy bump that Seth took in this matchup, where he has Cody in the Tree of Woe, and he goes across the ring like he's going to do a coast to coast. But I'm like, I've never seen Seth do a coast-to-coast before. Doesn't even do a coast-to-coast like drop kick. He does a coast-to-coast headbutt, which is insane of him to do that. And it looked like it, I think it's probably a worked injury, but like it looked like he jacked up his shoulder when he did that. So, hopefully that is just a working injury, but that looked crazy. He even busted out a top rope Spanish fly. That still wasn't enough. Cody, of course, also hitting his big moves, including a top rope crossroads, which that was also insane. That wasn't enough to put Seth away. But, the item that Seth has always been looking at for this whole build up to the feud, or to this match, I should say, is the watch that Cody gave him. He brought it to the ring, thinking he was going to use it earlier in the match, but decided not to. Cody was going to go for a pedigree, but Seth got out of it, found himself back at that watch, and he grabbed it and Cody swung him around, and there was a ref bump. Cody looked like he was going to go for a crossroads, but Seth hit him with the hand that had the watch on it. Seth hit a stomp and then a super stomp to pick up the win. Seth Rollins is crowned the men's crown jewel champion, and that is how the show ends, with Seth and Stephanievaquer in the ring. Seth also cut a post-match promo saying, I've won this matchup, on my own terms, so that, I am now, a visionary, a revolutionary, so on and so forth. Does his whole deal. And like I said, show ends with Seth and Stephanievaquer in the ring with their championships, and that's how the show fades out. Pretty fun show overall. Like I said in the intro, way better than WrestlePalooza. That Cena Styles match was absolutely fun. On a bun, it was so much fun to watch that. The rest of the show was pretty good as well. And, excuse me, it was just a fun show to watch. And the next show that we have to look forward to is a Saturday night's main event on November 1st, which thankfully I can watch at home, which is awesome. But the next show that I'm going to be covering is AEW Wrestle Dream, and I have something pretty special in store for that, but you'll have to wait until next week to find out. But in the meantime, guys, be safe out there, and I will catch you next time.